Welcome to Mining Now, and we're filming live from Austin Powder's corporate headquarters in Cleveland, Ohio. And my name is Roy Slack. I'm your host today, and I'm speaking with Tom Hairhoger, who is a technical representative with Austin Powders. And Tom, great to be here. Thank you for hosting us today.
Well, thank you for coming, Roy.
And this is a Mining Now series on Austin Powder, and the initial episode was with Cameron McKenzie and Alan Rompf with a focus on paradigm. And we just finished a second show with Kurt Oakes, and both are well worth a watch. And today we're here with Tom. And Tom, we chatted a little bit before about your background and your long-term service with Austin. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the industry.
Well, it started a few years ago now, but I did things a little bit backwards. I worked 15 years. We had friends of the family that had a coring business. So while I was in 10th grade in high school, I was a night watchman for them during the wintertime when they were shut down. And then in the summertime, I'd work there running different various equipment. I run a bulldozer for them, run haul trucks. And how they would work it whenever they would get ready to shoot, they'd bring in a contract company, and then we would add labor to them. So that's how I got introduced into blasting. We had a Joy Air Track drill with a pull bind compressor that we drilled. So I got introduced into drilling at that point in time. So I'd worked for them for about 5 years after I finally graduated high school. And then other friends of the family, they had a contract drilling and blasting company. So I had an opportunity to go there, work for them. That's where I got my Pennsylvania blasting license, my Ohio blasting license, and I've become a blaster for them. Then while I was working there, of course, pretty much all of my family worked for Medusa Cement at the time. They had a plant that was in Wampum. The plant was about a mile from the house. The quarry was about a mile and a half from the house. So they had an accident. The blaster they had got his foot caught in the track of the air track when he was moving it. So they were looking for a blaster. So I went to Medusa Cement at the time. Worked for them as a driller blaster utility. And at that point in time, I decided that I would like to, I shouldn't say go back to school, but finally go to college for an engineering degree. So I worked second shift at Medusa drilling while I went to school, went to a branch campus, went to the Beaver campus for 2 years. Then I went out to main campus after that for my engineering studies. Then while I was out there, I had worked on a leave of absence through Medusa, but for several reasons, that got they pulled that leave of absence. So at that point, I quit Medusa.
You were a free agent.
I was a free agent at that time, yeah. And my wife explained to me that even though I was in college, I was going to work the summer.
Okay,
So
good motivation.
yeah, she was dragging me off the couch. But needing some gainful employment, I had a copy of the ISE magazine while I was out at school and sent a blind resume off to Austin Powder. And one Wednesday night, I'll truthfully never forget it. One Wednesday night, I got a telephone call from Dave True that said my resume went across his desk and they would be interested in talking to me. So I, at that point, went through several interviews. They hired me on for a summer intern. So I worked 2 summer interns with them, and then also while I was on break between fall and spring semester, So then after that, whenever I got out of school, of course, at that point in time, I had a daughter that was in 10th grade, a son that was in 8th, and they were pretty well assured they didn't want to move at that point.
You were a
So,
mature student,
yes.
not
Yeah.
like many of us were immature students.
Yeah.
You were a mature student.
Right. Right. But so I was wanting pretty much to stay in the area at that point in time. Had it just wasn't working out at Austin, so I went to an underground coring application, and I managed that mine for 18 months. We were purchasing off of Austin.
Okay.
I knew the division president real well. Needing to make a job change, I talked to Austin, and that's whenever I come back to Austin and been there ever since.
Let's talk about our Heavy Industry World Tour brought to you by Savanaugh Equipment. Find, market, and sell surplus and used equipment. And Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, easier. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. Canam is a leader in steel fabrication and construction, delivering tailored solutions for commercial, industrial, institutional, and multi-residential projects. With 60-plus years of experience, they offer a wide range of products: steel joists, decks, structural steel, prefab building solutions, and more. Backed by expert services in BIM, engineering, and project management. Visit canam.com to learn more. As heavy machinery specialists for mining, SMS Equipment knows performance. Like the performance they achieve together in a partnership dedicated to the success of their mining customers. At SMS Equipment, they're more than machines from trusted brands. They're the people beside you today and every day, bringing industry-leading technology and expertise to your mining operation. Because the right partnership makes everything possible. SMS Equipment, partners in your possibilities. Discover what's possible at smsequipment.com.
And that was, I'm not sure if I get this right, that was 30 years ago? You've been with the company for
Yes,
30 years?
That was just about 30 years ago. Yeah. So but it's worked out well.
So you've seen, I mean, we've all seen the evolution in our industry, but you've seen the evolution within Austin Powder from supplier to technical support to, I mean, there's lots of amazing things they're doing today.
Yes. Yeah, I was very fortunate. Whenever I come to Austin Powder, I first come into the technical group, the corporate technical group, and I really feel fortunate that I was able to get a role there because I got to see throughout the company through it was pretty much touched every state in the States plus Mexico and Canada. So and one thing that's really intrigued me about Austin was the even before Kurt made reference to the Austin One family. Even before that was has become a tagline for the company. That was prevalent back then.
That was the feeling.
That was
Regardless
the
of what the
feeling.
words were, that was the feeling.
That's right. No matter where you went, no matter where you who you felt or who you met, they were genuine people.
Yeah.
A lot of times you see throughout other companies whenever corporate comes in, they're kind of looked at as the watchdog coming in.
Yes, and them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I never felt that at Austin. I mean, it was or felt that yet today. I mean, it's been very good. Since I've come with the company, I've had 5 bosses, and I have never yet felt like an employee here. I mean,
Yeah.
they make you feel part of the team. They'll take your input. I realize at the end of the day they're the boss, that they have someone to answer to too, but they listen to what you have to say. They take it into account, and it's really beneficial to have that relationship.
Well, often, in in a service industry or a supply industry, many times it's the customer that's actually the boss, right? And the other people are there to support you because you're dealing with the customer.
That's right.
Who is Savannah Equipment? Savannah Equipment Limited is a buyer and seller of new, used, and refurbished industrial equipment with a focus on mining and construction. They find, market, and sell surplus and used equipment. Does the equipment need work? They can refurbish. Is there something you can't find? They source those hard-to-find items. Selling equipment? They buy, consign, and broker equipment and asset packages. Need equipment moved? Savannah Equipment manages logistics for worldwide delivery. Surface and underground ore processing, concentrating, and refining plants and equipment, power generation and electrical, pump, material handling, alluvial placer, gold mining, recycling, and much more. If you need to buy, sell, find, refurbish, or move equipment, you need Savannah Equipment. Savannah Equipment, more equipment every day. Visit them at savannahequipment.com. CIM is Canada's leading technical institute dedicated to the sustainability of our industry. Members enjoy professional growth opportunities through CIM libraries, publications, webinars, societies, and the job board. Experience the CIM community firsthand at the Conference of Metallurgists August 19th to 22nd, ICARD September 16th to 20th, and the CIM Health and Safety Conference October 6th to 8th. Visit CIM.org for more information and join CIM today.
But I want to talk. We get to talk underground in this session, which is my background, so I'm looking forward to this. And obviously, Austin Powder, we talked with Kurt about some of the different things that the group does, certainly the aggregate sector, but you guys do a lot more than just sell explosives. So tell us a bit about your underground services.
Sure. And that get back to, as I said, one thing I think that one family really fosters is the ability to innovate, and I think that's what we really bring to the table in an underground market.
Yeah.
I don't care, how many different mines you go into. None of them are the same.
Yeah.
There is something unique about any mine you go into, and that's what I really enjoy about the underground sector, is that there's always something different about them. They're not cookie cutter. We're able to go under and from a technical side, what I enjoy is going under and viewing a mine application. You don't the mine itself might not realize some of the issues that they're having. So you can go in there, point those out, and then you have the ability to be able to make changes, suggest changes, make changes, and innovate different ways of handling their problems.
And I can relate to that too, because if you're in the contracting industry, the service industry, you see all kinds of different operations. You see the good, the bad, the ugly, you see everything. And to couple that with the 30 years plus experience, because 30 years with Austin, but you've also had experience in operations as well, you bring a lot to the table, and the opportunity for creativity is there, right? You see something that you can help with.
Exactly. And I think that's what's led to a lot of our underground products and just like our underground emulsion delivery systems. They're not one size fits all. We don't have to have a customer adapt their prime mover to utilize our emulsion technology. We can, no matter what prime mover it is, we can segment whatever we need to be able to meet their needs. Whether it's uphole, downhole, whatever it is, we can adapt to it and meet that need.
And that's a necessity, right?
Yes.
There's so many different, I won't say every mine has different equipment, but there's so many different equipment manufacturers out there that you run into all of them.
Yes. Yeah. And even if we're we're in a situation where they don't have a prime mover, we still have products that we can bring, or emulsion technologies that we can bring to meet that need as well.
So we talk about underground, and we've mentioned this previously about all the changes that are happening in the industry in general, and the technologies that Austin is implementing are leveraging those changes in terms of data recovery and using that to help a value add to your customers.
Exactly. We talked earlier about the Paradigm. Paradigm was originally developed as a surface software, but Paradigm don't care how that hole's drilled.
Yeah.
It's looking at a specific hole size, a depth, and orientation really doesn't matter. So, through some very talented people at Austin, they were able to take that technology and adapt it to an underground application. The surface mine, especially whenever you get to the final extent, that's where you got to start worrying about wall control.
Yeah.
But every shot underground, you have to start worrying about wall control. You got to worry about no overbreak on the rib, no overbreak on the back, because that's literally what's holding your world up. So that becomes very important. And as I said, Paradigm doesn't care how that hole's oriented. It's looking at what products are loaded into it, what energy's coming out of that, and so we can adapt that for wall control. We can also look at it for timing modules for vibration, just as they do on the surface. We can gather data out of that now. We're seeing a lot of implementation of smart drills underground. So we can take that design, load it straight into the drill, give it to the operator, and he can go and drill that round just as it was planned to be drilled.
And we used to be looking for smart drillers. Now we've got smart drills.
Exactly.
And I've seen this evolution too, where we used to just look underground at explosives in terms of break.
Mm-hmm.
Did the round break fully, or then we started to think about fragmentation. But you mentioned wall control and ground control in terms of advance rates, dilution.
Right.
There's all kinds of things that we never used to worry too much about, but that you guys can now help with in your products and your designs.
Exactly. Yeah, we can, through our tunnel star caps, our electronic caps for underground, we can now design those rounds to, if we're worried about dilution, to pull a overburden to one side and have the ore to the other side. So we can start separating it that way as well. So
yeah, well, that's instead of reducing the grade through a mix of that, now you've actually improved the grade of the product that's going to the mill.
Exactly. Yes.
A lot of people may think about explosive companies as supplying explosives, but we've talked a bit about the technology, but let's talk about the equipment, because you guys aren't just supplying powder; you're supplying a lot more to the industry.
Exactly. Yeah. As I said earlier, we've come up with a modular design for emulsion pumping underground, and that that modular design allows us to look at whatever product we need to deliver, whatever, as I said earlier, whatever prime mover that's on, and whether it's just straight headings and bench shots, whether it's fan drilling, whatever it is, we can, with that modular design, that allows us to pick different pieces and put those together to meet whatever need we need to meet for the pumping.
Yeah, And the Ready series that I saw in the notes there, it's adaptable to different prime movers, but it's also adaptable to, I shouldn't say it is, but you have a number of different applications. We talked briefly about shaft sinking, but
Oh, yes.
but about stoping, about development. There are different applications that are required.
Exactly. Yes. As we said, we have a process where we can shear product for uphold. So we can pump uphold. It'll stay in the hole. Um, we have a another system for shaft sinking where it's a pneumatic process for shaft loading. Um, all of the products, all the pumping systems have computerized systems on them where we can put in how many pounds we want in every hole, and it'll deliver that perfectly. So we can take something that we designed in Paradigm, different loading. We can first design the drill pattern for it. We can give it to the driller with a smart drill, have it drilled perfectly. Then we can take that same design, load it how we want that to break, and that then can be given to the blaster. They can put how many pounds they want in every hole, and it'll deliver it perfectly.
The controls are interesting. I remember one project. Well, I don't know if it was your experience. The mentality was always more explosives the better,
Oh, yes.
right? And in the shaft, instead of stemming, they would fill right to the top. Of course, the first part of that got burnt off and was gas. And we were trying to. It took us longer to clear the fumes out of the bench, and we started to learn that sometimes more isn't better.
Exactly. Yeah, that one of the first. So the shaft company that we've dealt with for years. We had switched them over from stick powder to a pumpable
Yeah,
emulsion. Um, and the hardest thing to get them to understand was that you didn't necessarily want to match pound for pound with stick powder.
yeah,
So in that instance, we were suggesting that they use a little bit more product, but they were using a product at a better value than the stick powder. And then the next area that we struggled with was getting to stem holes. They whenever I first suggested to them that we try stemming, they looked at me like I had two heads.
yeah.
Why do you want to do that? But we were able to show that they could just exactly what you said, reduce. They were getting better fragmentation in the top area of
Yeah.
that shot. They were reducing their gases that they were producing from it,
Yeah.
and overall they were able to tweak that even more to where they were even getting a savings on the products that they were using as well. So yeah, sometimes whenever you suggest something that is totally out of the box for the industry, you do get a little pushback time to time.
I know that pushback very well. The technology development that we've seen, I mentioned before how uh, way back in the day, when I would do a blast design, it was all trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we would get the handbook out. We'd design a pattern in the shaft. We'd try it, and we would see what the break was like, and then we'd modify to suit. Today, we've got data. You've got all kinds of tools you can use, and it's not just about the break anymore. You mentioned it's about a lot of other things.
Yes, yeah, yeah. The shaft company that we dealt with, all they worried about at the end of the day was, did we pull full depth or did we leave bootlegs?
Yep,
If you left 6 inches of bootleg, you was getting a call.
that's a problem.
Yeah, we had to redesign, but yeah, and then in the underground a quarry application, there you have to worry about you have to make sure you have enough energy to get that pull.
Yeah.
But on the same token, you don't want to create a lot of fines that just end up in their said ponds.
Yeah.
So so there's a lot of look at that as you said, making sure that you're getting that full pull, but yet not so much energy that the majority of their material is going out in their said ponds.
That was an interesting point because I always was worried about oversize. I never thought much about undersize or fines, but it's a very good point because your processing plant is designed to deal with a certain size range in your grinding facilities, and the undersize is just, or the fines, I should say, are just become waste in a lot of cases.
Yes. I just got done designing some underground headings for a lime facility.
Okay.
So, and I kind of got an education on that. I thought, they put this thing into a ball mill and they grind it into flour basically.
Okay.
But so I thought the finer we could shoot that for them, the better. But they were saying that even for their ball mills, there's a certain gradation that they need for it to grind correctly.
Yeah.
So we had to we had to touch up that design, so we weren't creating quite as many fines for them in the muck pile.
Yeah. No, there's lots of instances where mines, particularly gold operations, will have valuable fines still in their mill that haven't got out to, their poor and haven't created revenue for them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it, some of the misperceptions people have about underground work. And as different mines go, I'm involved in one company now where they're transitioning from an open pit to underground. But I thought it was interesting you had mentioned with regard to blasters and their perception. We don't have to worry about fly rock underground. That's
Yeah.
not correct.
Yeah. No. They so as we talked a little earlier, whenever not only do we just deliver to underground mines where they'll be the end user, we also have crews that work underground. So that is the probably the biggest misconception I have whenever we're taking a surface blaster and we're converting him into an underground blaster.
Yeah.
That he thinks that, well, he doesn't need to worry about fly rock, about air blast, about different stuff like that. Once they're down there, that it's more technical than they really give it enough credit to be.
Yeah, repairing that ventilation system or the piping or the electrical from fly rock or from air blast
Yes.
can be a major delay in cost in operation.
Right. And you damage some of those systems, you find out in a hurry,
Yes.
that you're not going to do it again.
Yeah.
Right.
You're involved in partnerships. I use partnership term loosely because every customer you deal with is a partnership in a way. But as a group, Austin is involved in partnerships with different groups. Can you speak a bit about that?
Sure. We have quite a few partnerships with mines that have transferred to underground operations. They were all surface quarries. The area I deal with, I know of 8 different open pits that now have gone underground. So they've gotten to their stripping limit. The overburden just become too much to continue that way. So then they've developed underground. And in that process, that's where we, and you get the same misconception with surface mines that are moving to an underground operation. They think that that all they got to do is buy a cap and a booster and blow some info, and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
But whenever you start looking at designs to protect their portals that they're putting in, their main hallways, their secondary escapeways, then they start realizing that there's a lot more technology that goes into that than what they thought originally. We have designed several different operations moving underground, and utilized a lot of our electronic caps, our tunnel stars, to get to start that. Just because we can control the energy into the back and into the ribs a little better. Introduced pre-split material to them, in the underground, where they were used to it in the surface and just assumed that whenever they started going underground, they wouldn't need
They
that.
wouldn't need it.
Yeah, but showed them very quickly, and that was some of the advent of using our QED. I use QED a good bit for those sort of designs. Just you can show the energy into the rib. Show how if you make certain changes to the pattern or to the product, how that affects the energy into the back, into the ribs. So yeah, that whenever they start making that transition, then they start seeing the advantage of a lot of these programs that can be used.
I think when you mentioned that, and I got thinking about, we always talk about educating the client or the customer. I've had some challenges with that over the years. I've been told, no, we're educating you. But I think in just demonstrating how some of these things can help your clients, that probably opens their eyes to different ways they can look at blasting within their overall operation.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a slow process. You sort of you have to walk before you can run. So, you get them to buy into certain aspects that they feel a little more comfortable giving you that leeway. And then once they see those start panning out, starting to work, then they're more comfortable with giving you more leeway. And underground miners, they're the hardest ones to convince that this new product coming down the line is the way to go. You just start talking to them about electronic caps, after they're just used to putting an in-hole and cord to shoot that thing. Now you tell them, well, you have to have this logger. You're going to tell every cap what time you want it to fire. You start getting pushback real quick. But then once you get it in their hands and start showing them, that it's not the boogeyman, that it will work. And then once they start seeing the results of it, that's when you really get the buy-in.
Well, I think we mentioned it earlier about adoption of technology, and I'm always interested in that because my feeling is the mining industry is very innovative, but our challenge is not innovation; it's adoption. And I think what you just described was the methodical method of getting people to try something, showing them the results, and then building on that.
Oh, most definitely. And if you don't get the buy-in from the guy at the face,
It's not going to work
it's not going to work.
one way or another.
Yeah, he'll probably work harder at proving you that it won't work than. So that's once you get past the engineers, and they're pretty easy to get past with technology. You start showing them the technology, and they run with it pretty quick.
Yeah.
So once you get past them and you actually get down to that face and you start loading that face, then the next one you got to get buy-in from that is going to make the thing work or not work is the crew.
And I think and I want to emphasize this because people sometimes see companies as suppliers. So you'll sell them explosives. But you guys do much more than that. And you talked about working with them at the face when you're applying new technology, you're there.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's another area where Austin does very well. Um, you have to be there. You have to put the time in. You have to get that crew to buy into what you're wanting to do. If not, it will not work.
Yeah, and I've found you can write as much process as you want, but there's some things that just don't come through on paper that if you're there the first couple times, you can share your knowledge and experience
Right.
and help it to be successful.
Right, exactly. We've seen that with our non-electric detonators. Um, you spend a little time just being with the guys, showing them how they deploy, and there's no issues at all. But if you just take them down and drop them off, or they're used to the old way, and it's hard to get them to change that way.
Yeah.
And to be truthful with you, I was no different. Whenever I started blasting, it was still when we were using standard electric caps. So that was just towards the tail end of whenever I started shooting. Then we seen the sequential machines come out, and then I shot sequential for years, and then we come to non-electrics, and I was like everybody else when non-electrics come out. There's no way for me to check this thing. It's not going to be any good. But the first time I was able to hook up was in the wintertime with gloves on, I was sold. So,
I'm reminded of this was many years ago. I just got out of school and we were doing a drop raise, and it wasn't going well. And I looked at my blaster's handbook, and I said to the shifter, I said, if we did this and this, it might go better. And I won't say exactly what he said, but he said, you stick to surveying and leave the blasting to us. Anyway,
Yeah.
but that was the mentality,
oh yes,
more
Yeah.
is better. But I'm constantly amazed at the evolution of blast science and all the things you guys are doing today.
oh yes, yeah. I find it amazing.
Yeah.
And every time you kind of think you've seen it all, there's something new that comes out, and that's what I find interesting.
Yeah.
Is that innovation, and it's just being able to take that innovation then into the field and making it work.
Yeah, I've always found that when engineers have a chance to exercise creativity, that's when they really enjoy what they're doing.
Exactly.
So, any final words for our audience? Let's sum up.
Well, the one thing I'd like to say is that I had the good luck of finding a company that allowed that innovation, that fostered it. So anybody out there that's looking for a career opportunity, I think that's the first thing you want to look for, is for a company that's going to be behind you, that's going to support you, and let you have that ability to innovate and move forward that way.
I think Tom Austin had the good luck to find you.
Oh, thank you.
You shouldn't say that. You don't pat yourself on the back, but I can do that.
Well, thank you.
So we've been speaking with Tom Hairhoger, who's a technical representative for Austin Powder, and we've been live from their corporate headquarter office in Cleveland, Ohio. And Tom, thanks for joining us today and hosting us in your facility.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And thank you to our audience for another edition of Mining Now.